I know it's been a long 8 days, but I do appreciate your time and indulgence to let me talk about this resolution. And for our newer members, this is a resolution we do each year to proclaim April as Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month in conjunction with Donate Life. It's been a privilege for me to work with my colleague, Assemblyman Ortiz, on this, especially since 2013. But from 1992 to 2012, our former colleague and friend, Assemblyman Jim Conte, led this resolution. Those of you that did not know Jim Conte, just let me tell you a little bit about him. He was a two-time kidney transplant recipient. He was a great human being and a staunch and tireless advocate to promote organ donation. He sat right here where Mr. McKevitt sits. He was our floor leader, but more than that, he was the heart and soul of our conference. Unfortunately, we lost Jim in October 2012, and although his passing left a hole in the heart of this chamber, his presence, his memory, and his mission to promote organ donation awareness lives on. I believe it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to help carry out this mission and this message, because it literally saves lives and improves the quality of lives for so many more. When Jim Conte spoke about this issue, he spoke about it with emotion, he spoke about it with passion, and he spoke about it with the facts. And if you want to talk about some of the facts, and I know as we all sit here and are frustrated about the delay in the budget process, complaining, I think it's time to take some perspective, and when you hear these statistics, I hope it does bring it in perspective. Right now, even as we stand here waiting to pass the budget, there's nearly 10,000 New Yorkers right now waiting for an organ transplant. 1,800 New Yorkers right now have been waiting for more than 5 years for a transplant. There are 52 registries across this country. New York is number 51 out of 52, only ahead of Puerto Rico. New York, we have the third highest need for organ recipients, but we have the second lowest rate of donation. The national average is 50%. The state of Montana is number one at 87%. The state of New York, sadly, is at 28%. In 2015, we lost nearly 600 New Yorkers, men, women, and children, waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. My colleagues, this is simply unacceptable. We can and must do more, and we can and must do better. The good news is, one person, just one person who donates at the time of their death can save up to 8 lives and impact up to 50 others. I need to repeat that just because it's powerful. One person, just one of us, who donates at the time of their death can save up to 8 lives and impact up to 50 others. You know, this issue is personal with so many people, and we have our own reasons for supporting it, but I did want to share a few with you if I could. A former colleague of ours before I was here, Assemblyman Bill Hoyt, died on the assembly floor waiting for a heart transplant, and no one knew until that day. His son, Sam Hoyt, who also was Assemblyman, worked with Jim and others on this issue. Former Assemblyman Richard Brodsky, his daughter Willie received a kidney from his wife, and he continues to be a proponent of organ donation. My good friend and sponsor of Lawrence Law, Felix Ortiz, who's been involved with this issue for so many years because of his mom and so many other issues in his leadership. Andy Goodell, his daughter donated a kidney to a high school classmate. Our colleague Michael Fitzpatrick donated a kidney to a stranger from reading an article in the newspaper. For me personally, it's about my sister. My sister was a juvenile diabetic, which ravaged her body, affected her kidney, her pancreas. So in 2000, she was the beneficiary of the kindness of an unknown stranger and received a kidney transplant. That lasted until 2006, and at that point in time, I had the privilege to donate a kidney to her. Unfortunately, I lost my sister in 2013 at the age of 50 because of what juvenile diabetes did to her. But I realized, especially after coming here, she was one of the lucky ones. She received 2 transplants. Think of the number of individuals who are waiting right now who are waiting for one. And I didn't realize how bad the numbers were, my colleagues, until I came up here and saw some of the statistics I shared with you. I know some people don't want to think about this issue because you're thinking of your own death, and I understand that. But you never know. You never know when one of your loved ones or a family member might be in need of a life-saving organ transplant. You really don't want to be in New York State with those numbers. We've made some progress, some really strong progress over the past few years. Starting in 2012 with the passage of Lawrence Law, when people sign up for their license, they can indicate whether they want to be an organ donor. In 2014, we passed the public-private partnership to work with the state to manage the organ donor registry. In 2015, we passed an amendment to Lawrence Law, and that amendment in 16 months resulted in an additional 250,000 people saying yes, that they want to be an organ donor. The 2016-17 budget had money in there to support organ donor and tissue awareness. Also in 2016, we passed legislation that would allow New Yorkers to enroll in the New York Donate Life Registry when applying for health insurance. And also last year, a signature legislation my good friend Assemblyman Ortiz carried would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to register their intent to become an organ donor, joining 48 other states. This has worked. Just a few years ago, our rate, I know we talked about our rate being 28%. Just a few years ago, it was at 23%. Just a couple years ago, we had more than 10,000 New Yorkers on the waiting list. Now, we're under that number, and it continues to go down because of efforts like this. So you might ask, well, what can I do? What can I do to help? What can I do to help the cause? Use your office. Use the power of your office. One, register to be an organ donor. Promote organ donation awareness in your mailers, in your newsletters. Talk to your constituents. Use social media. Post links on your webpage. Earlier today, we dropped off packets in your office to help with that. Please take advantage of that, because there's so much more we can do. You know, we pass a lot of bills in this house. Some are good, some are not so good. But this issue actually can save lives. And we should all agree to do it more and do it better. And it doesn't always require more money. It doesn't always require a bill. It just requires a commitment. It definitely requires a commitment and effort on our part to advocate, educate, and promote awareness to encourage people to become an organ donor. I believe deeply if we give more people the opportunity to say yes, they're going to say yes. We should look at partnering with other institutions. We should partner with our libraries, a Libraries for Life campaign. People filing their taxes, we should ask them the question on their taxes. We should ask them the question on their college application. We should ask them if they're filling out some sort of public assistance form. Whatever do, put that question in front of people. New Yorkers are generous, kind people, and they will say yes. So, I know when I talked about Jim, you know, individually, none of us can do as much as Jim Conte did on this issue. But collectively as a body, if we put our mind and soul and heart in this, we can do so much more to move this issue forward, to bring awareness, to bring attention, to educate, and more importantly, to save lives. And that's what Jim would want us to do. So after passing this bill, let's just not move on to the next issue or the next resolution. Let's make a commitment to do more, individually and collectively, to promote organ donation awareness. Because at the end of the day, that working together, we can touch and improve the quality of life of New York families and individuals and save lives all across this state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir.